Welcome back to another Methough episode, whatever. I don't know. I'll just put it up on screen. And yeah, man, this is Soul Eater Spoilers. Like I said, this always follows my overviews. And yeah, let's jump right into it. So Methough, man. We gotta talk about Methough. We have to talk about Methough. Methough is easily the best part of this show. Like I said in my overview, she is essentially the boss of this show, because the whole point of the show is that the Kishin he gets released, right? Because throughout the first part of the show, I would say a good chunk of it, he's locked up, right? And he's under Death City because Lord Death defeated him, locked him up in his own skin, which is pretty fucking nasty, but he did it. And Methoug's whole thing is like, I want to release the Kishin so his madness can spread across the world and the world can just go crazy, right? But the way that she executes it is what makes her so fucking cool, because once she dies and it's all on the Kishin, the show doesn't have that character that really pulls you in. That's what Methough does. Like, she has this presence and this and just this thing where she commands attention every time she's on screen. And even the amount of charisma that she brings to the table, nobody else really has, villain wise. I want to say that when it comes to being a villain in this show, nobody has. And it's just one of those things that when you watch it, you understand what I'm saying. And that's why I completely compare her to Voss, is because if you have played Far Cry 3, like I said in my overview, Voss was the guy that made that game, point blank period. And it was the character that Ubisoft tried to copy in their following games every single time, because he was such a good character that nobody expected to be that good, right? And to basically have people fall in love with, meaning being a villain. It's like the Joker type thing, like nobody expected people to love the Joker as much as they do because all the crazy shit and bad shit he does, but everybody loves the Joker. And it was the same thing with Voss. I don't think Ubisoft knew that was going to happen with Voss, but it did, and they've been trying to replicate that ever since. But my thing is that, and essentially why I'm getting at, to bring it back around full circle, it's the same thing with Methough. I don't know if they thought Methough was going to be like that she was going to be that strong of a character and that strong of a villain in the show, but they did. They made a very strong character to where when the Kishin comes in, you're just like, bro, this dude's whack as fuck. And that's why I'm going to say it again. It's the whole Voss thing of like, once they killed off Voss, or you kill Voss in the game, you got that whack ass, bland ass white dude that I can't even remember. And you're just like, why the fuck is this dude the main villain? Voss should have been the main villain the whole time. And that's how it is with Methough. But not only that, just the way that she goes about doing everything and how like strategic she is with it. And that's why I brought up the Shikamaru thing. I don't know if I've already said that or not. I apologize if I did. I'm talking about in this video, how she's always planning 3 steps ahead. Like, she does everything so meticulously that you'll be like, how the fuck did you even know that was going to work? Like, there's some moments later on where she starts to be like, yeah, I didn't know that bullshit was going to work. But for the most part, leading up until those moments, she was on it. Like how she implanted some snakes in like 2 of her fellow witches, right? Because they thought that they was hot shit, and they was like, yo, Methough, we know what you up to. We're going to kill you. And Medusa's like, oh, for real? So like they have this little Mexican standoff, and she does some shit and puts some snakes in them, and they didn't even know. And then later on, she tells them, she's like, hey, if you don't do what I say, I can fucking kill you right now, because I implanted snakes in you like 3 days ago. And it's little shit like that, how she just plans everything out like that. Or like how she does Krona, and how she gets Krona to join the school and have him spy on everybody. And how she even executes the whole Kishin thing. Because what she does is that she worked at the school for like a good amount of time, and she built up that trust and stuff with everybody in order to then therefore release the Kishin. And it's just like, man, she's just so fucking good. Even when she died and came back to life, I don't know if I said that already either, but when she died and came back to life, and how she jumped in this little girl's body, and she was just like, yeah, you can't kill me. I'm in a little girl's body. If you kill me, you kill her. Like, all of that shit, like how she goes about doing that shit is what makes her so good. Like, that is one of the most savage things I've ever seen. That's probably one of the most savage things I've ever seen since, like, Full Metal Alchemist. When that dude turned his fucking daughter and the dog into a homunculus or whatever it was. Like, he did some alchemy and fused them together. Like, that's the, like, her taking over that little girl's body and then fucking with the parents on top of that, especially the mom. That was what really made that shit so fucked up, was like, when she took that little girl's body, she just started fucking with the mom just to fuck with her. And then she just, one day, she's just like, yeah, I'm going to go outside. And then the mom was like, you're not my daughter. Who are you? She's like, you don't need to worry about that. Like, you just need to take your ass back in the house and I'm going to go do what I need to do. And she just takes the little girl's body, bro. Like, this shit is so fucking crazy. I'm telling you, bro, when you watch this, well, at this point, it won't matter because I've already spoiled it. But if you don't give a shit and you still gonna watch it, Medusa's gonna easily be your favorite character of the show. I'm telling you, she's gonna be your favorite villain. You're gonna be like, man, this Keisha nigga's whack. Like, Medusa is where it's at. I gotta talk about my nigga Excalibur again. I kind of hinted, I kind of talked about him a lot in the overview. That's probably one of the reasons why it was is longer than what I wanted it to be. But either way, Excalibur, dude, I mean, the amount of comedy that he brings to the show and the shit that he brings to the show is fucking hilarious, dude. I love how he is so self-absorbed and he's so far up his own ass that he thinks that everybody wants him, but it turns out that nobody ever wants him. And it's like, you would think with him being around for so long, he would be different. But that's the thing. When they show how long he's been around, he's been the same way from the beginning. And then they don't even go over how he became Excalibur, like when he was made or how he even came to be. He's just always been there and he's always been the same. And nobody ever wanted to deal with him. That's what makes it so fucking funny. And what I always laughed at was the simple fact of, like, where they put him at, because you know how, like, you always got to pull the sword out of a stone or whatever, or a rock or whatever the fuck it is. In this, they got him in this cave, and the thing about it is that, like, there's these fairies flying around, and they're like just miserable as fuck because he's there. Like, just the simple fact that he's there, they're just miserable, they're depressed, they don't like him, he talks too fucking much, and they're just like, oh my god, I hate this nigga so much. But then when people pick him up and take him out of the cave, they're partying, they're dancing, they're drinking, the flowers start growing back in the cave, and everybody's having a good time. But then as soon as somebody bring his ass back because they're getting tired of him and they stick him back in, they're just all miserable as fuck again. And they're all just like, fuck, why did he have to come back? It's so funny. But the thing that makes Excalibur just so good in general is that, and to be honest with you, it's one of those things where it's like, when you first see him, you're like, this nigga's stupid, bro. Like, why the fuck is he here? He's just this stupid, cheesy ass penguin looking motherfucker. But I will give him credit. At the end of the show, when things are getting real heavy and you got the Keishan fighting Lord Death and all of this other stuff, and he's fighting Maka and them, like the Keisha is really when he's fighting Maka and them, that's when Excalibur makes sense. That's when he finally comes around full circle and you're like, oh, I understand why he's here now. Because he brings in a lot of good insight because he has seen so much. And that's what I thought was the most redeeming quality of Excalibur, and what made him, outside of his goofy ass antics and everything that comes with him, such a good character, or at least a decent character at the end of the day, was that, like, when it really mattered, he brought in a lot of insight from how long he has been around, from the things that he do know, or not do know, why I say it like that, from the things that he does know. And yeah, it's crazy, man, because he even know Lord Death. Like, that's how long he's been around. Well, of course he's been around. Well, I should have said that. He's been around since, like, King Arthur. So he's been around for a minute. So he, of course, knows who Lord Death is. But what I'm saying is that, like, he even gives insight on the backstory of, like, characters that we had just met because he's been around for that long. Like, you just got to see it to fully understand it. But, yo, Excalibur, despite how fucking stupid he may be and up his own ass he may be and all them stupid ass 1,000 provisions or whatever the fuck it is that you got to go through. He's a pretty good character, and I fucks with him heavy though. Now I'm gonna get into some of the negatives, and I'm gonna flesh out the negatives that I really had with this show. So here we go. I'm about to fully flesh out the fucking narratives. So when I was talking about the lore earlier, right? The lore, as I should say. I don't know why it's hard for me to say that now. The lore. The problem that I had with it was the simple fact of, so they established that the Kishin used to be one of, I think, Lord Death's Meisters. Yeah, he used to be one of Lord Death's Meisters. He used to be one of his students. And the problem was that he was so obsessed with power or whatever it was, he started eating human souls, which is what you're not supposed to do, right? So he was just slaughtering human souls, or slaughtering humans and eating their souls. And he was so obsessed with that shit that he even ate his own partner and shit like that, like some really fucked up shit. So that's why he became a Kishin, because he was eating human souls, right? Because the thing about the world is that human souls are a no. You're not supposed to eat those. You're supposed to eat, I forgot the name for it, because they kind of like stopped talking about that shit after a certain amount of episodes. But it's like basically people who are corrupted, right? Like there's like a certain name for people's souls who have been corrupted by evil and who have done evil things or bad things. Those souls are good. You can eat those. And then witches' souls are another good one, right? Like, so those are the ones that you can eat. But basically humans are not supposed to eat those. Only weapons are supposed to eat those. So like Maka, Black Star, and Death the Kid, they're not supposed to eat those souls. Only the weapons are, because that's also like one of the things that they established early in the show is that, like, in order for your weapon to become a death scythe, you got to feed them 99 whatever of the bad people souls. I don't fucking know the name of it, but like bad people souls who've been corrupted, like you feed them 99 of them and then one witch's soul, and then that's when they become a death scythe, right? But the Kishin was like, fuck all that, I'm just gonna eat all people's souls because I just don't give a shit, right? But to come back around full circle, what I'm talking about the lore is that they never explain how that even became a thing. Why is that a requirement? Like I said earlier, they never, or I don't remember if I said it earlier or not. I have a tendency to forget shit real quick. They never even explain on how weapons and meisters meet. They never explain that shit. Actually, I did say that earlier, but it still stands. Like they never even explain how Maka met Soul, how Black Star met Tsubaki. We know how Death the Kid met Liz and Patty, right? Like they never explain how Stein is just able to just use any weapon he feels like using. They never even explain who all the Lord Death Scythes are. Like we don't ever see them. We hear like a couple of names of them, but we don't ever hear anything or see them. And the biggest thing that really kind of made me put this as a negative is that I don't know if I said this again, or I don't know if I said this earlier or in my overview once again, so I apologize. There's a part in there where they're talking about Abon, Kishin, and Lord Death and their relationship. Actually, I did say that, but either way, I'm gonna go in a little bit more depth here. They talk about how they all knew each other and what was going on with them, and there's this, and they show silhouettes of all the other people that was around them, but they don't say who they are. They don't say their relationship. They don't say any of that, and they just completely brush over it. They're just like, oh yeah, we all knew each other, and boom, that's it. And it's just like, what the fuck? Like, huh? They don't explain how weapons and meisters can have babies, because that's what Maka is. Maka's dad is a weapon. He's a death scythe, right? And Maka's mother was his meister. But they never explain how that's even a thing. They don't explain how any of that shit works. And I just felt like they should have done that shit. Like, I really felt like they should have sat down and explained a lot of that stuff. Now, they could in the manga. I have no idea. They could easily explain that shit in the manga. But for the most part, they never explain that shit. And like I said, what really did it for me was when they was talking about all these people that was associated with Lord Death. like Avon and stuff like that, and they never showed them off. Like, of course they show Avon, because like I said, they showed a picture of them three, but like they never show any of these other people, and I felt like that really would have brung a lot more to the show, but they just completely ignored, and I really didn't like that, because they have this great universe that they set up, but then for some reason it's like they was scared to actually show it, and I just didn't get that. I didn't get why they went that route, but yeah, like I didn't get it. I didn't get why they did that. And then the actual battle between Lord Death and the Keishan, I can actually talk about that now and really get into it. The problem that I have with it is that, like I said in my video, is that they built up to it, right? Because like I said, that's pretty much what the show is about, is them releasing the Keishan and then Lord Death having to fight the Keishan. That battle was super anticlimactic, and here's the reason why. To me, when you build up a battle, you need to have that battle pay off, right? And I'm not gonna go to Dragon Ball, even though I really am. I'm saying I'm not gonna make that my first example, right? I'm gonna do something that's a little bit more tame in the grand scheme of things, right? So let's look at something like My Hero, right? Let's start off with season 1 or whenever it was, when they built up the Nomu, right? And how just a devastating force it was. When they built that up, and then they had the whole thing where the villains, like, or was that season 2? I can't remember. But anyway, whatever season it was, when those villains came into the little thing where they was doing a little training session or whatever it was, and they had the little vacuum space chick or whatever in the spacesuit and all of them fighting. And remember that when the Nomu showed up and they was talking about they waiting on All Might, and then All Might showed up and like they just went at it, that Nomu and All Might, like that build up was worth it, because they built up how bad the Nomu was and how badass it was. So then that build up of this badass Nomu going up against All Might, they built it up and it was worth it. The build up between All Might and All For One was worth it. The build up between Deku and the Yakuza nigga was worth it. Like all of that shit that they built up to was worth it. Why? Because they built it up, and they made sure that it was worth it. That all of those fights were really over the top and just hit hard, and just like any adjective you can think of, it was there, right? Same thing with Dragon Ball. Like I said, I wasn't going to use Dragon Ball first, but I'm using it. They built up the battle between Kefla and Goku, right? And when that shit happened, it was fantastic. I actually enjoyed that more than the Jiren one, because it was just so fucking awesome. But they built up to it, and they built up to it, and they built up to it, and when it finally happened, it was amazing, right? The same thing, even though I did enjoy the Jiren one, I didn't enjoy it as much as the Kefla one, but bottom line, they kept on building up Jiren and Goku, Jiren and Goku, Jiren and Goku, and when we finally got it, it was phenomenal. And that is what you're supposed to do when you spend a long or a significant amount of time, better yet, building up a battle between two characters. You're supposed to make it as awesome as possible. The fight between Lord Death and Keishan was not good. It was a lot of talking and a lot of just basic ass movements, and I felt like that it just wasn't worth the build up. And the thing that really, and this kind of goes back to my lore point earlier, is that I felt like what would have made this battle even better is that they would have brought in all the death scythes and really let Lord Death go ham. Like, I really felt like that would have made this battle worth it, because the whole time that was the buildup. That was the thing. It's like, oh man, Lord Death took down the Keishan, but if the Keishan gets let go, only Lord Death will be able to do it. And then, like, even when he does get released and they're fighting, Lord Death is like, oh, I can't go ham on you because I'll destroy most of Death City, so I have to stay back. I have to kind of be, I have to kind of reserve my strength in like what I do, because I don't want to tear up my city. And it was like, that first time they fight, it's like, okay, I get that. But then the second time, he's in his domain where nobody else could get hurt. Talking about Lord Death, nobody else could get hurt, and somehow he still loses. Like, he still doesn't do anything that makes him worthy of the title of Lord Death. It was just really fucking stupid. I really didn't like how that battle went down. And I just wish they would have brung in the death scythes. Like, I really wanted to see him just be like, all right, you need to go back, or what he said is that he was gonna kill him. So better yet, he should have just been like, yeah, you're not getting put back in your own skin. You're fucking dying today. Point blank period. And then all his death sites were there, and they had like this super big battle of just them, just two powerhouses going at it. But once again, we didn't get that. Instead, what we got was we had Maka going up against against the Kishin. And even that battle wasn't that great. It was like it was one of those things where, like, how can I explain it? Essentially what happened was, it's just like the Lord Death battle. It was a lot of talking, a lot of the Kishin explaining shit. It was, I mean, to be real with you, it was on some Naruto shit. Like, it really was, because that's the number thing I always hate about Naruto, and even in Dragon Ball, where they do all that fucking talking. It's like, shut the fuck up and fight. If you gonna fight, fight. If you want to talk, talk. But don't do both. Just give me one or the other. And the problem with the Kishin battle, when it was against Maka, Soul, and Maka and Soul, but Maka, Black Star, and Death the Kid, was that, like, there was a lot of talking, right? Some shit happened with Soul where he was no longer present because of some other shit, but you'll see when it happens. I'm not gonna go into all of that. But then, like, when it comes down to it, Soul got fucked up. Kid in Death, I mean, not Kid, but Kid in Black Star. Well, I didn't mean to say Kid, but I meant to say not Kid in Death. Kid in Black Star got fucked up. Their weapons got fucked up, and Maka was the only one standing. And, like, she went to go fight him, and because, like I said, in this world, weapons and meisters can have babies, so she ends up realizing that she's half weapon, half human or whatever, which is quite obvious. I should have thought about that shit from the beginning with her dad being a fucking death scythe. But anyway, she ends up, like, turning it, like, her, like, bits of herself into a weapon, just like her dad. And they're fighting, and the way that she takes him out is that she just punches him one time. It's basically, that's what I was thinking about, and that's what I was trying to come up with, or not come up with, but get to the point with, was that it's basically like Broly, Dragon Ball Broly. Like, not the newer one like Dragon Ball Super Broly, but I'm talking about Dragon Ball Z Broly. Remember how Goku just beat Broly with one singular punch? That's exactly what happens here. You're talking about they do all of this shit, and then that's how Maka beats him, is with one fucking punch. And then he starts to fucking crack and crumble, and he dies. That was like, no, dude, no, you can't build up the Kishin as like this big ass enemy, and then just fucking, just that be the end of it. You can't have the Kishin be this big bad guy, and then that be the end of it. Just him dying to one punch. It's literally the same thing as Broly. Like, no, bro. No. And that's pretty much all I got. Like, I went over all the major points. I don't know if I covered Medusa dying or not, but that was another one where I was like, yeah, that battle wasn't that great either. The way that Maka ended up, I mean, not Maka, but Medusa ended up dying. I don't know if I even said that or not, but yeah, Medusa dies, and the way that happens was just like, it was average as fuck. I was like, really? Like, that's how y'all do her after all that shit she done? Like, y'all just kill her like that? Like, you're not gonna give her more of like a bigger, grandiose death? Like, she goes out guns blazing like that? That was pretty much it. But anyway, once again, like, all these gripes that I have with the show, once again, does not make the show bad. I want to reiterate that it's still a good show overall. But once again, just like anything else, the gripes that I do have are some big gripes. And yeah, I just didn't like that. I just didn't too much appreciate how they did Lord Death versus the Kishin. I felt like they could have done way more than what they put out there. But at the end of the day, still a good show. Still recommend you watch it. Just like I said last time, next Methough will be on that Transformer Siege, whatever the fuck it's called. It's only like 6 episodes. So I'm about to go downstairs and watch that shit right now while I eat lunch. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Go and watch it. If you one of them people who don't give a fuck about spoilers and you still watch this and still want to go and see it, go and watch it. It's a good show. It really is. So, yeah, that's it.